The playful side of my husband that made me love her more. Everyday disclaimer: this content is only for mature audiences. Viewer discretion is advised. Some people say love fades over time, but for me, it only grew stronger day after day, because of one unexpected reason. My husband, the same man who can be serious and strong when life demands it, has this playful, almost mischievous side that not everyone gets to see. It's the side that caught me off guard one random afternoon and made me realize I loved her more than I ever thought possible. We weren't doing anything grand. No fancy date, no romantic getaway. It was just a regular evening at home. I was finishing some work, stressed and tired, when out of nowhere, he pulled the kind of silly prank that would make you roll your eyes and laugh at the same time. It wasn't about the prank itself. It was about him, the way he could light up a room, the way he reminded me that life doesn't always have to be so serious. That tiny moment cracked something open in me, in the best way. Our relationship hasn't always been smooth. We've had our fights, our cold nights, our doubts. But it's those hidden layers, the playful glances, the unexpected jokes, the inside jokes only we understand, that built a secret world between us. And every time he let that playful side out, it pulled me closer, like a magnet I didn't want to fight. But of course, it wasn't always all fun and games. There were moments where his playfulness crossed the line and left me questioning, was he taking our relationship seriously enough? Was this carefree side of him a blessing, or was it hiding something deeper? That's where things started to get complicated, and where our story really took a turn. Stick around, because in this story, every laugh hides a little secret, and not everything is as simple as it first seems. Trust me, you'll want to hear how this playful side of my husband not only made me fall in love harder, but also tested our relationship in ways I never expected. Before we dive deeper, what do you think? Is a playful partner a blessing, or can it sometimes cause trouble? Let me know in the comments below. Also, vote in the poll popping up now. I want to hear your experiences too. At first, his playful tricks were harmless and sweet. Like the time he left sticky notes all over the house with silly little messages, or when he'd hide my favorite snacks in the most random places just to watch me search for them like a treasure hunt. I loved it. It made me feel like we were the only two people in the world, living in our own secret game that no one else understood. But as time went on, I started noticing something different. His jokes got a little sharper. Sometimes he'd tease me about things that felt a little too real, like when I was struggling at work or when I felt insecure about my looks. He always laughed it off, saying, "Come on, you know I'm just playing," but inside, a tiny part of me wondered if he really meant some of it. One evening stands out in my mind. We were supposed to have a serious conversation about something important, something about our future plans. Instead, he turned the whole thing into a joke. He made light of it, changed the subject, danced around the real talk. I laughed with him at first, because that's what I always did. But later, when I was alone, I sat there wondering, why couldn't he just be serious when it mattered? Was he afraid of something? Was he hiding how he really felt? Still, every time I'd start to worry, he'd pull me back in with some sweet gesture, a surprise coffee in the morning, a random love note tucked in my purse, a goofy dance in the living room just to make me smile. It was this constant back and forth that kept me on edge. Part of me loved the unpredictability, part of me was growing tired of never really knowing where we stood. I didn't want to lose the fun side of him that I adored. But I also couldn't shake the feeling that something underneath all that playfulness was being left unsaid. Something that, if we didn't face it soon, could quietly start pulling us apart. Have you ever felt like someone's laughter was covering up something they were too scared to say? Tell me in the comments. I really want to know if you've been through something similar. And don't forget to stick around, because the next part of our story reveals the moment everything changed, and trust me, you won't want to miss it. The real cracks started showing one night when we went out with a group of friends. Everyone was laughing, telling stories, having a good time. My husband, as usual, was the center of attention. His jokes were flying, and people loved it. But then, he made a comment about me, something small, something that, to everyone else, probably sounded funny. But to me, it felt like he had peeled back a layer I wasn't ready to share with the world. I laughed it off, pretending it didn't bother me, but inside, it stung. It wasn't just the words, it was the feeling that maybe, in his world of jokes and games, my feelings were getting lost. Later that night, I tried to bring it up. I wasn't looking for a fight, I just wanted him to see me. Really see me. But again, he brushed it off with a playful grin, pulling me into a hug like that could erase the hurt. And for a moment, it almost worked. That was the confusing part. It was so easy to forgive him, to melt into the comfort he gave, even when a small voice inside me whispered that we were avoiding something bigger. Around that time, I started noticing patterns. Every time life got real, whether it was about money, family, or future plans, he would dodge the conversation with humor. It was like he believed if we just kept laughing, the hard stuff would magically go away. And for a while, I went along with it. Maybe because I was scared too. Maybe because it felt safer to laugh than to face the unknown. But the more I paid attention, the more I realized his playful side wasn't just about being fun or lighthearted. It was a shield. A way to protect himself from something he didn't want to confront. And maybe, without meaning to, I had been doing the same. Now I was stuck between two feelings, loving the man who made life joyful and fearing the distance that laughter sometimes hid. And deep down, I knew the day would come when we couldn't laugh it off anymore. What would you do if the person you love used laughter to hide from reality? Would you push them to open up, or let them stay hidden behind the jokes? Tell me in the comments, I'm really curious what you would choose. And get ready, because in the next part, something happens that neither of us saw coming. Things between us didn't break all at once. It was more like tiny cracks spreading under the surface, slow and silent, until one day you look down and realize the ground beneath you isn't steady anymore. Every little moment started to weigh heavier than before. The silly pranks, the teasing, the jokes in front of friends, they stopped feeling harmless. They felt like walls going up between us. I kept asking myself if I was just being too sensitive, or if maybe, just maybe, I had been ignoring something important all along. Then came the night everything almost shattered. It was supposed to be a normal night. We had planned a simple dinner at home. I spent the afternoon cooking, trying to make his favorite dishes, thinking maybe this would be the night we'd finally sit down and talk. Really talk. No jokes. No playful dodging. Just us, face to face. When he walked in, he was already in a joking mood, tossing playful comments around, laughing at something that had happened at work. I smiled, played along, but my heart wasn't in it. I needed more from him tonight, and he didn't even notice. Dinner started fine, but when I tried to shift the conversation to something serious, our future plans, moving to a new city, the dream we had talked about years ago, he laughed it off again. Babe, why stress about all that now? We're fine. Let's just enjoy tonight, he said, reaching for my hand with that same easy smile. And that's when something inside me snapped a little. I pulled my hand back, gently, but firmly. I told him I didn't want jokes tonight. I needed honesty. I needed to know where he stood. For a second, just a second, I saw the smile falter on his face. But then, almost like muscle memory, he covered it up with another joke, brushing it off like it was no big deal. Except this time, I didn't laugh. I didn't smile. I just sat there, looking at him, feeling the weight of everything unsaid between us. The air grew heavy, silent. He looked at me differently then, almost like he was realizing for the first time that I wasn't playing along anymore. Without thinking, he stood up, pacing the kitchen, running a hand through his hair. It was something he only did when he was really stressed. I watched him struggle for words, the walls of humor he had built starting to crumble just a little. I'm not trying to hurt you, he finally said, voice lower, different. I don't know how to be serious without feeling like everything will fall apart. And there it was, the real crack in the armor. But before I could say anything, before either of us could decide what would happen next, his phone buzzed loudly on the counter. He glanced at it, and the color drained from his face. I followed his eyes to the screen. A name I didn't recognize flashed there. A name that made my stomach drop. The playful side I had loved so much. What if it had been hiding more than just fear of serious talks? What if it was hiding secrets I wasn't ready to find out? What do you think was on that message? Drop your guesses in the comments, because the next part will leave you completely speechless. For a moment, neither of us moved. The buzzing of his phone seemed to echo in the room, louder than it should have been. I couldn't tear my eyes away from the screen. That name, unfamiliar, sharp, almost taunting, hung between us like a wall. My heart pounded in my ears. I tried to stay calm, tried to remind myself that there could be a perfectly innocent explanation. But deep down, something didn't feel right. He snatched the phone off the counter and turned it face down without even opening the message. His hands were shaking, just slightly, but enough for me to notice. I opened my mouth to say something, anything, but he beat me to it. "It's nothing. Seriously. Just a friend from work," he said quickly, too quickly. The kind of quick that doesn't sound like the truth. I wanted to believe him. God, I wanted to. But the way he avoided my eyes, the way his playful mask was slipping right in front of me, it made it impossible. Instead of answering, I asked the question that had been building inside me for weeks, maybe months. Why do you always hide when things get real? What are you so afraid of? He looked at me then, really looked, like he was seeing me for the first time in a long time. His mouth opened, then closed again, like the words were right there but he didn't know how to say them. And just when I thought he might finally open up, the second twist hit harder than the first. The front door slammed. Not knocked. Slammed open like someone had keys and permission to be there. We both froze. Footsteps echoed down the hall, heavy and fast. I turned toward the sound, confused and a little scared. His face went pale. A woman appeared in the doorway, breathless, her eyes wide. She wasn't a stranger. She wasn't some random coworker. She was someone I recognized from his past. Someone he had told me was long gone from his life. "What the hell, you weren't answering your phone," she blurted out, looking at him, not me. "We need to talk now." My heart dropped. I looked at him, at her, then back at him. His mouth opened again, no excuses this time, no jokes, no playful deflections. Just raw panic. The room spun a little. Everything I thought I knew, everything I had built my heart around, felt like it was slipping through my fingers. And still, I didn't know the full story. Not yet. Would you have confronted him right there? Or would you have walked away to protect yourself? Tell me in the comments, because honestly, I still don't know if I made the right choice. Stay tuned, because what happened next was even crazier than I ever could have imagined. For a long second, nobody said anything. Just three people standing there, frozen by the weight of everything crashing down at once. My husband looked like he was about to pass out. The woman stared at him like she expected him to fix everything with one word. And me, I was standing there, caught between anger, heartbreak, and the sick feeling that my world was about to change forever. Finally, he broke the silence. "It's not what you think," he said, voice shaking. Classic. But this time, I didn't let him get away with it. "Then tell me," I said. "Tell me what this is." He rubbed his face, like he was trying to wake himself up from a nightmare. Then he pointed at the woman, his hand trembling. "She's my sister." At first, I thought it was just another lie. Another joke to dodge the truth. But then the woman's face softened. She nodded, wiping at her eyes. "Half-sister," she corrected quietly. "We just found out a few months ago. Our dad had another family. I've been trying to get him to meet me ever since." My head spun. This wasn't what I expected. Not even close. He finally looked me in the eyes, and for once, there was no wall, no joke, no running away. Just raw truth. "I didn't know how to tell you," he said. "I was scared you'd think I was hiding something worse. So, I hid everything." The anger inside me didn't just disappear. It sat there, heavy, mixed with a strange, painful kind of relief. He hadn't been unfaithful. He hadn't betrayed me in the way I feared. But he had lied. He had chosen fear over honesty. And that still hurt. The woman apologized for the chaos, said she hadn't meant to cause problems. She thought he had told me everything. She thought I knew. It was messy. Complicated. Real. And just when I thought the night couldn't get any more intense, he reached into his jacket pocket and pulled out something small. A ring. Not a wedding ring, we were already married, but a simple gold band with a tiny inscription inside, "No more secrets." "I was going to give you this tonight," he said, voice breaking. "To promise you I'd stop hiding. That you'd get all of me, playful, serious, scared, everything." I didn't say anything right away. I just stood there, feeling everything at once. Love. Hurt. Hope. Fear. What would you have done? Would you have forgiven him or walked away? Tell me in the comments. I'm reading every single one. And stay tuned, because how we rebuilt everything after that is a whole other story. It took time for me to answer. It wasn't the kind of moment where one kiss or hug would fix everything. Trust had been shaken, even if love still lived underneath it all. I took a deep breath, my mind racing through every memory, every moment we shared, the laughter, the fights, the love, and the fear. I realized he had never stopped loving me. He had just been too scared to show me the parts he thought would drive me away. Slowly, I took the ring from his hand. I turned it over, reading the tiny words inside, "No more secrets." Simple. Honest. Exactly what we needed. I slipped it onto my finger, not because everything was perfect now, but because I was willing to rebuild what was broken. We sat down with his sister that night, and for the first time, I saw the bigger picture. His playful side wasn't about not caring, it was his armor. A defense against everything he never learned how to face. And in that moment, I realized something about myself too. I had been holding back, pretending I was fine with the jokes, hiding my real needs just as much as he had. The next few weeks weren't easy. We fought. We cried. We apologized. But we also talked, really talked, without the shield of humor or the fear of hurting each other. It was messy, but it was real. And it made us stronger. His sister became part of our lives, little by little. It wasn't the life we had pictured when we first got married. But it was ours. Raw, unpredictable, filled with love and imperfections. And honestly, I wouldn't trade it for anything. Love isn't about having someone who never hurts you. It's about choosing the one you're willing to work through the hurt with. The one who, even when they mess up, still fights to stay by your side. If you made it this far, I'm curious, how did you feel about the ending? Would you want to hear how things are going for us now? Drop a comment below if you'd like a sequel. And if you've ever had a moment where trust was tested in your relationship, I'd love to hear your story too. We're all learning together. Thank you for being here with me through this journey. Until next time.